What if the very thing that you're holding on to the tightest is the very thing that is blocking your peace? The Bhagavad Gītā ends with a radical invitation. Welcome to your Monday message. I am Dharma Shakti, your host, with your weekly dose of something inspirational, your yoga teacher, your philosophy teacher, and your empowerment coach. Let's get into our message today. Let me preface this video with the irony of this topic today. I schedule out the content that I'll be making for you all, and it just happened that this particular verse landed on a day where I too am needing the medicine of this verse. So I'm going to do my best to not completely lose it as I give you the philosophy and the message and the lesson in the philosophy, and just wanting to acknowledge that I'm right in it with you all. And just because I'm sharing this wisdom, by no means am I trying to prove to you or imply or teach from a place of I've mastered these things. I share this wisdom with you because it's helpful, and sometimes it's hard to digest. Sometimes it takes years and years and years to actually let it reach deep down inside of you enough that you're actually living it. And I am no different than all of you out there who may happen to land upon this video. So letting the universe know the irony of today is not lost on me right now. I bet you that Krishna is getting a great kick out of this. So here we go. Let's dive into this verse. Clearly this video today is for me. I don't know if it's for you, but it's definitely for me. I am all up in this struggle. So let's dive into this together, okay? Bear with me as I bear through this with you all today. So the Bhagavad Gītā is a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna is in a very difficult and uncomfortable situation that he himself participated in creating and willingly walked into, even though it wasn't what he wanted. And we are going to discuss a verse that comes up at the very end of the Bhagavad Gītā. It's in the very last chapter, but it is a theme that is woven throughout the Bhagavad Gītā and many other sacred texts from the Vedic traditions, such as the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and a very common theme. What we're talking about today is a core part of yogic traditions that is so potent and so powerful, and often so difficult for us as Westerners to really incorporate into our lives. And it's something that we should be practicing, myself included. We're discussing a verse that is one of the most liberating teachings in all of yoga philosophies. And this verse, let me just say the verse for you. It's a portion of this verse from chapter 18, verse 66. And the portion that I'm emphasizing here for you today is Sarva dharmān parityajya mam ekaṁ śaraṇaṁ vraja. And it says to give up all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me alone, and to have no fear. This is Krishna giving his final piece of advice. He's not telling Arjuna that he has to do it. He has given Arjuna many, many options and many different pathways and practices that he can pursue and move through, but he ends the Bhagavad Gītā with this last little bit of his 2 cents on the whole thing. To just surrender unto me, give up all varieties of religion and have no fear. And again, this is chapter 18, verse 66. And this truly is the heart of what we call, in Bhakti Yoga we speak of this a lot, but śaraṇaṁ. Śaraṇaṁ is sacred surrender. It is a trust that goes beyond logic and beyond reason. And it is a taking refuge in the divine and the support of divinity that is always available to us. Again, excuse me if I'm getting a little bit emotional, as I myself am coming face to face in a head-on collision with this verse and this topic in my own life. So yeah, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Let me be in my realness and my rawness with you. And I never want to teach from a place of I have it all figured out. I don't think that that's always helpful. So again, the verse is Sarva dharmān parityajya mam ekaṁ śaraṇaṁ vraja. So the Sanskrit breakdown is Sarva dharmān, this word dharma, right? All duties, all roles, all obligations, all identities, all variety of religions, dharma, okay? And parityajya means abandoning or releasing or letting go. And mam ekaṁ, to me alone, the highest truth, the divine. And śaraṇaṁ vraja means to take refuge, surrender, or to seek shelter in. And so Krishna is not asking Arjuna to abandon responsibility. He's asking him to release the mental burden of carrying everything alone. Surrender. Surrender means trusting the deeper intelligence of life. It is an invitation to let love, divine love, let love lead rather than fear, rather than your doubt. You know, I remember asking my teachers, one teacher in particular, I would ask him this question a lot. What does surrender look like? Because I think I'm doing it, but I must not be doing it. What does it look like? And I never got an answer. I don't think that it's an easy one to say what it looks like. I think it looks different in every moment, and it looks different in every circumstance, and it looks different for every person. But the core of it is trusting the deeper intelligence of life and the grander, greater intelligence of the divine. And it's really, truly an invitation to take shelter and to lean back into and rest in that divine love, or as, you know, I think Gabrielle Bernstein says it, this idea that the universe has your back, which can be so challenging when we are in places in our life where we don't feel like the universe has our back or our front or our sides, what is above or below, like we can feel very much alone. And this is when surrender is such a powerful and potent force for us in our lives. So, as always, let me give you 5 key points as to why you might want to implement this concept, this philosophy, this teaching, this idea to any degree in your current life. Point number 1, very important. Surrender is not giving up. It is letting go of resistance. Really, really getting a good look at where are you resisting and how can you soften that resistance or that grip on life or that pushing away of what's happening in life. Okay, so we try to control outcomes, timelines, people, and our paths, other people's paths. Surrender releases the illusion of control, and it creates space for clarity and grace to enter into our lives. I know how counterintuitive it could feel that the solution to our uncertainty and our complete absence of clarity, the solution to our overwhelm and to our confusion or our frustration is to surrender, because it creates space for clarity and grace to enter. So stay with me here. Let's just give ourselves permission to chew on this for a little bit, so to speak. And of course, with each of these points, I like to give you a practical application of how you can practice this. So notice where you grip, notice where you push away, and ask yourself, what if I didn't need to force this? What if I didn't need to force this? Okay, point number 2. Divine support is always present, and surrender reconnects you to it. When we try to do everything alone, we forget that we are held. We are held by a divine intelligence or a divine plan. We forget that we are held by our ancestors or our spirit guides, whatever that source is for you, and however you perceive spirit beings that are sort of beyond this 3D earthly realm. Surrender is remembering that you are supported, that you are guided, and that you are not alone in your path. So how do we practice this? A simple breath with a prayer. I release and I trust. I know what I'll be practicing tonight. Point number 3, surrender can dissolve fear and anxiety. Fear thrives in an environment of control. We may not be completely aware of it. It may not be evident to us, except for when we don't have control and the fear is very big. So when we don't have control and we're very, very much in fear, it's indicative of how much we have not surrendered. So when you soften your grip, fear loses its power. Surrender creates emotional spaciousness. Surrender creates emotional spaciousness. So how can we practice this one? Maybe just pause and notice, where is fear pretending to be responsibility? Where is fear pretending to be responsibility? Point number 4, letting go of false identities allows your true self to lead. Sarva dharmān means releasing the ego's roles. Sarva dharmān means releasing the ego's roles. The part of you, the ego part of you that must fix, manage, please, achieve, or prove. Surrender helps you remember that you are not these roles, that you are the self. You know, there's a Sanskrit word for the ego, which is ahamkar. And one of the translations of this word, ahamkar, when you break down the Sanskrit, is these hands are doing. Like, I am the doer. I'm the one doing everything. And when we live from that place, we are disconnected from the divine plan, divine timing, divine synchronicities, divine miracles, just the divine intelligence that is flowing through our life, because we think that we are the one creating and doing everything. And so surrender is a practice which reminds us, I'm not the doer. There are things I do that I can do, that maybe I should do, but I'm not the ultimate doer and decider of what happens and how things turn out in my life. And that can be a very scary and hard thing to do. The irony of it is, when we surrender, it is supposed to dissolve that fear and that scared feeling that we have by releasing control. You know, it's like free falling. And how, you know, I'm always amazed when I watch these videos of people bungee jumping or skydiving. I just saw a video recently of a woman who is probably in her 60s or 70s, and she was bungee jumping, and she just, I was amazed because they didn't even have to push her off. She jumped off, and she was so free. She was so surrendered in that free fall because she trusted that she was held. I don't think I can do that. And that's something that I'm still working on getting better at in my own life. And it doesn't mean we have to be perfect at it, but be willing enough to try. Be willing enough to soften in whatever way we can, to whatever increment we can soften our grip or our clinging or our clenching to the harness that we're holding on to, that we're buckled up into. And can we imagine that we are buckled up into a harness that is attached to a divine source that has us, completely has us, even as we are free falling. So, you know, a practice that you can do here is to ask yourself, what identity am I clinging to that no longer serves my soul? Ooh, I can feel all my emotions welling up in my chest right now, because this is what I'm working on. What identity am I clinging to that no longer serves my soul? I'll just have a real moment with you, right? Like, many of you watching these videos have taken my yoga classes and watched these videos and have heard me say things like everything is figure-outable. And I am at a place in my life where I'm having a hard time figuring this out. And it means I have to let go of the identity of I always figure it out. I always do, somehow, some way, I always figure it out. There are many parts of my identity that I am being challenged to release and to surrender and not feel less than because I've chosen to surrender them. It can be such a difficult practice. It can be such a vulnerable practice. It can bring up a lot of things. But I invite you into this very uncomfortable place with me. As we are entering into this last portion of 2025, the year of the snake, let us have our last bit of shedding. Shedding the identities that we're clinging to that no longer serve our soul. Point number 5. Whew. Okay, point number 5. I knew this was going to make me emotional. I almost didn't make this video because I thought this is ridiculous. I'm struggling with this today and I feel like a little bit of a hypocrite to make this video. But I'm just showing up in my realness with you, not from a place of I have it all figured out and mastered, but from a place of being a fellow life warrior who is on that inner battlefield within fighting that good fight. You know, from one Arjuna to another, in our moment where we want to put down our weapons and not fight anymore, and yet the battle still has to be had. So let's continue on. Let me get through point number 5. Surrender. Surrender aligns you with the highest path. When you're no longer forcing your way, you can feel the divine way. And in surrender, intuition sharpens, synchronicity increases, and right action becomes clear. I'm just laughing because I don't know what the right action is for myself right now, and I want nothing more than to have clarity, and the solution is just to surrender. But I have to put down some identities in order to have that, in order to do that. And I don't mean like identities that I think are great. I mean also identities that have been put upon me by my parents, by my upbringing, by the religion I was raised in, by society, all these things. So it isn't always like the identities that you like. It can be the identities that you've been resisting, right? Okay, how do we practice this one? See if you can end your day today with this sort of request, this prayer. Show me the next right step. Show me the next right step. I don't know what it is. Show me the next right step. So let me summarize a modern day application here. In our world that we live in, our modern day environment, surrender is often misunderstood as weakness. But in yoga, surrender is an inner strength. And it looks like releasing timelines, whether that's past timelines, current timelines, or the timelines you anticipate in the future that maybe you want now. It also looks like trusting in the unfolding or the unraveling. It looks like letting go of forcing. It also can look like, I don't know and I don't need to yet. It can look like taking aligned action without clinging to outcome. One of the true practices of bhakti. Taking aligned action without clinging to the outcome. Surrender turns life from a battle to a collaboration. It transforms pressure into peace. I'm just dying on the inside a little bit right now as I'm sharing this message with you that I created intentionally as a message to you, as something inspiring to you. I'm like, there's a bit of me that's mortified to be making this video because I am struggling with this one. I'm terrified to surrender, and I do want to collaborate with divinity, and yet I am still on the battlefield. I am still in a place of pressure, and all I want is peace. And so, I am letting myself be very raw and very vulnerable in the hopes that this moves you. Not for your pity, not for you like to turn the focus onto me, but for you to see somebody that maybe you look up to as a teacher and as a leader, and somebody who you think is like got it figured out. None of us have it figured out. We are all on a journey of, in the active practice of experiencing it so that we can embody the knowing rather than being and having it figured out. So, moving on to the next portion of this video. Here are some journal prompts that I have for you, and I am going to do these tonight as well. Taking some of my own medicine. Maybe you want to just sit with these questions as you hear them here on this video. Maybe you want to do them later. I will put them in the description box down below for you so that you have them. Where in my life is divinity asking me to soften, to let go, or to surrender? And what am I trying to control right now out of fear? I can hear my own answers on the inside as I am sharing this with you. And what would trusting a greater intelligence look like in this situation that I'm in right now? What would that look like? Which roles or responsibilities have become heavy or ego-driven? Please remember that ego isn't just, I'm so amazing. Ego is also, I totally suck. I'm horrible. Right? It's the different ends of the spectrum. So sometimes I think we only identify ego as arrogance, like I'm so great, I got it all figured out. But ego is also that part of us. It's like I'm worthless. I'm a mess. I'm a basket case. It's also all ego. And ask yourself, what truth becomes clear when I stop resisting? Last question for you. What support is already available that I've been ignoring or minimizing? All right. Again, I'll put those questions down below in the description box if you really want to take time to sit with them. I know that I am probably going to do this every night this week. Lord knows I need it. All right, my last words of encouragement to you. You don't have to carry everything alone. Surrender doesn't weaken you, it frees you. And every time you soften and release your grip, the divine can do what the divine does best. Guide you, hold you, support you, and love you. You are not meant to go through life alone. You know, I'm thinking of a verse that, again, is also in many sacred Vedic texts that I have heard so often, and a prayer that I love so much, and I probably should lean into it more, is this idea that Krishna, or divinity, will preserve what you have and carry what you lack. I'm reminded too of Marianne Williamson and her Course of Miracles talking about, you know, God can't carry for you what you won't release to him or her. That if you want help with the burden, if you want to be alleviated with a burden or a challenge or a difficulty or an old pain or an old wound, that you actually have to hand it over. If you don't hand it over, then divinity cannot carry it for you. And so these sacred teachings from all these different ancient wisdom texts want us to know that you are held. You are held by divinity always. Okay, my friends, thank you for bearing witness to me and holding space as I make this video that I feel like was just for me. If this message resonates with you, please let me know in the comments down below. Hit the like button. Let me know that you liked this video. And of course, I always have a deeper dive journal reflection that you will have to get on my Empowered Living community. You need to join the community, and then you can get access to these deeper dive journal prompts that you can print out and keep. I make them for you. They're different than the questions that are here. So if you'd like that, I'll leave the link down below for the Empowered Living community. Again, you will have to become a member, create a profile, and then once you're in the community, you can click on the classroom and find all my Monday messages in there with all of the past downloadable journal prompts. Okay? And those are designed to help you integrate this work into your life. Integration is super important. It's not enough just to listen. It's not enough just to receive the information. If you really want to have this knowledge be something that transforms your life, there has to be an act of integrating it and applying it. So I do highly recommend that you journal with the questions that I have given you here today. And if you want the deeper dives, just click the link down below. Of course, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel for your weekly Monday message where I blend yoga philosophy and empowered living. I'm really big on personal development and spiritual development and helping you do that work. We're all in it. We're all in it together. I've been through a lot. I'm still going through it, but I'd love to support you in your process. And if you would like that, make sure that you subscribe to this channel so that you can get the messages as they come out every week. All right, friends, I'm going to take my very tender heart and go do some surrendering as I journal. I hope you do the same. Sending you all my love and wishing you well, and reminding you to keep your head held high and your heart open wide.